Good morning, everyone. This is Ando Star Saber here once again. We're here to do another roster review. Um, you'll have to forgive me if I butcher this name, but we have Calf. I think it's pronounced. If it's Cough or something like that, you'll have to let me know in chat. It's one that's not entirely clear how it's pronounced, so you'll have to forgive me if I butchered it. But I'm taking a look at your roster here. Took a little bit of a glance beforehand. Um, Initial impressions here. Now you got a 1.9, almost 2 million roster. Looks like you've been in the game a minute, not to the extent that I have, but you've been in long enough to build up a pretty decent sized roster with a lot of tunes in it. And for what I can see, the team you're using as Arena is probably the right approach for the near term. I can see you've worked on Jedi Knight Bastila. Um, and that's a good approach. That's a good solid team. I think if you mod it properly, get Ezra Zeta, give Jolie another star, and just gear up to 12, I think your arena ranks will climb. Might have to look at your mods and see how you're doing there. I'm sure there's probably room for improvement, but I have room for improvement too, so that's nothing against you personally. But just looking in general, you got a pretty good spread. You're not like some people and sitting on all of the hero's journey characters. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, you don't have any as of this time. Let me verify that briefly. Oh, you have Commander Luke Skywalker, so you do have him. So that's something to consider working on as an alternative as metas shift, and sometimes the ones you expect to be good become less good, and some teams that weren't as good become better. Um, so that's one you can keep working on there. I wouldn't put that aside, but the team you're working on is probably going to get you the most mileage here. Looking at your resistance team, I would consider boosting up your scavenger array, finishing up your Ray Jedi training as well. Not necessarily to be a raid character, or an arena character, but a raid character. As far as raiding goes, she is probably the most useful team across all raids. So you want to make sure you beef up scavenger race some more as you're working on shards. Make that one of your priorities here. But I would say Jolie is probably a bigger priority for you as far as shard farming is concerned. And of course, you'll want to gear up your arena team as much as you can. Keep working your Thrawn too. That gives you versatility you might not otherwise have. Taking a look at them, you've also modded them pretty good. So if you bring some of these mods up to gold, excuse me, and eventually up to gear 12 and 6 dot mods, that may be a pretty good set, at least to start with. Now, looking at your main arena squad, seeing what you're working with here, you got some room for growth. I don't feel you definitely haven't hit the pinnacle. I don't think that surprises you to hear me say that. But you've done a pretty good job so far. You've gotten her about 64 speed. I would look at ways to try to bring that up to closer to 100, maybe 100 plus, 110, 120. If you're not familiar with how to efficiently farm for speed mods, we have a video that goes into great detail. I highly suggest you check it out. Become familiar with that process. And also, I would look at beefing up her health a little bit more. Not drastically, but a little bit more. And the main reason I mention that is because Bastila and Jedi teams in general rely on protection up. Protection up is based on your maximum health. So you may have a nice protection pool, but the protection up you get is actually based on your max health, so you get more you get more survivability out of health than you do protection is the bottom line. So that's something to be aware of. Now we look at your Grandmaster Yoda here and the way you've modded him. Little bit of speed, you haven't added a lot. You haven't added a lot of crit damage, which can be good, can be bad depending on what you're up against. If you're up against a lot of teams, the Kenobi and Jolie, sure, crit damage doesn't buy you much because a lot of these teams you'll run up to have crit immunity. But you haven't added a lot of offense either. It looks like you've added some offense mods, but you haven't really committed anything. And to be honest, having the set bonus is probably secondary to the stats themselves. So you got speed here, which is fine, a little bit of crit chance. I would see if you can get a mod for Grandmaster Yoda that has offense plus offense, flat amount, not percentage, as well, and that'll increase his damage overall pretty significantly because he's one of your big damage dealers out there. Here you got crit chance. I would try to switch to something crit damage. Lots of options out there, and see if you do like you got here with plus flat offense and speed, but just try to get something crit damage related. In fact, if you can get a full crit chance and crit damage set bonus associated with Grandmaster Yoda and get comparable, better speed, and better offense, that's ideal. I'll give you a look at mine real quick, how I've set mine up, um, just to give you a comparison factor. Obviously, Gear 12, and he's got both the sets. Now, the way I've set him up is he's got a lot of speed, as you can see. But he's not actually the one that got the most speed. That's something also to be aware of. I think he's at 101, something to that effect. Pretty decent crit chance here. But you can see the crit damage is 222%. That took both the set bonus and the triangle here. And that's at having them both at 6.mods. And you scroll down a little bit further, and you can see I've added quite a bit of damage as well. A lot easier to see the stat bonuses when you check the general stats. So you can see I got the 102 speed, 769 damage addition from offense, and 1129 special offense. So you can see a lot of that increases hit power. And if I find the mods, I may even increase that even further, but it'll take a really good set of mods to replace what I have because it's doing well for me. So that's just something to consider as you mod your character. Try to make him as potent as possible because he's already pretty fast. Even if you don't mod him for speed, he gets a lot of turn meter from his abilities. So you just want to make him hit as hard as you can because you want to make those hits count. Now your Ezra, looking at him, I can see you've put in some effort, not a lot of effort in speed, no effort in crit damage, which again, Ezra Bridger's a hitter. You put some into offense, so you've done a much better job bringing up the offense for Ezra here. I think part of that is probably your set bonus, but looking at the mods themselves, yeah, you got a little bit of plus offense in every category. That's something you want to do. I would say for versatility purposes, you want to try to swap in, again, crit damage, crit chance sets that have a lot of plus offense and a lot of speed. Now, it's going to take some farming for you. This doesn't happen overnight. I mean, literally, even where I'm at in the game, where you see I have a lot of, I'll show you my mod sets by comparison. You can see I've taken a lot of mods up to gold or even 6-dot mods, and that's across the board. So it's going to take you a while to get like that. That didn't happen overnight. It took a lot of budgeting my time and energy resources and using things like events and other factors involved. Just don't mind me. I'm just running little errands while I'm doing this. A lot of people don't realize I have to keep this moving or my phone will die out on me. So sometimes if I lose myself in conversation, my phone will shut off and that'll end the video. So please bear with me. But looking at here, that would be my changes there. I mean, right now, if you're facing a lot of Kenobi and Jolie Bindo and seeing a lot of crit immunity in the field, maybe it does not a big deal that you have the crit damage and crit chance on your characters. But eventually you're going to want to get to a point where they're not going to be the ones you face the most anymore, so you want to make sure you can deal with them as well. Again, with General Kenobi, looks like you put a lot of protection on him. Protection isn't as valuable as it used to be as far as defensive skill sets go. You don't have a lot of tenacity on him either. You don't have a lot of speed. Nice thing about General Kenobi when you use him in your team is if you can bring up the negotiator, swap some buffs around, but not take a lot of. You don't want to take a lot of buff blocks, a lot of ability blocks in your General Kenobi, and you want to go pretty frequently because with the involvement of your team, he can be a big damage dealer in the fact that you bring your whole team with you. So that's just something to be aware of. So you want to be fast. You want to be beefy, but I would say more beefy in the health than the protection the way you got it set up right now. So I'd look at ways to increase the health some more. Jolie Bendo, I'd more or less suggest the same thing. Looks like your health mod set. That's a good start. You have a decent amount of speed on it. Could be better, but I mean, I can see you don't have a large compilation of very fast mods yet. That'll take time. That'll take farming. That'll take persistence. I would make it a point every day, every time it resets, to log in, go into shipments, go over to the shard shop, see how much currency you have. If you have enough currency, scroll through, take a look. Okay, this one is a health mod, and it's got a speed set. It doesn't have any actual speed on the character, though. Maybe skip that. Take a look at this one. Okay, that's you got a lot of offense sets already. It's got 5 speed on it. It's got some health. Costs 3.48 million. Maybe go ahead and buy that one. And then when you scroll down some more, you see this one doesn't have much stats to use. And then if you decide you want to purchase based on your credit load, go ahead and purchase it. Go into your character. Just level that mod enough to see what the final stats are going to look like. So we had, what was that? Oops. That was here it is. So when you go into it, you can upgrade it. You only want to take it up to level 12. Because if it doesn't add any speed, you may have to discard it again. Okay, it added 3 speed. That's not really that great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and find that mod again and sell it back. You don't recoup all your credits, but it's a good way to determine. It's a good way to kind of weed out some of these mods, and as long as you keep doing dailies and stuff like that, you'll have credits come back. I'm a little low because I've been doing a lot of videos and spending a lot of credits just supporting the videos. But normally it's not too hard for me to, and forgive the pop-ups here, it's not too hard to farm the credits if you're doing the events, doing the Galactic War every day, doing all the quests, and making sure that you're staying ahead of things. So that's my recommendation to you. Spend a lot of time focusing the mods, making your mods better. I think you'll get a lot of bang for your buck doing that. I mean, farming characters, you got a good set of characters. You can certainly broaden your range here. You can work on the rebel side. You can build up, because you have your Commander Luke Skywalker, you can build him. You have your Han Solo. I would add some Zetas on those characters after you get your Zeta on Ezra Bridger. Get your Zetas on R2. That'll give you some versatility. What that'll give you, in effect, is some options. You'll have some options to deviate from the team you're using if it's finding it's running into a wall where it just can't get through. And Bastila, that'll be the case sometimes. Sometimes there are situations where Commander Luke Skywalker squad works better than a Bastila squad. So, and you've got a lot of the tools in place here. You don't have Chewbacca, you don't have C-3PO, which make those teams really good. But you can still make some pretty solid teams with just the core members like R2, Han, and Commander Luke Skywalker. So that would be my suggestion. And again, I've been repeating in my videos, but I'm aware not everyone's going to watch every single roster review video I do. So I want to reiterate to you, keep it focused. Focus on maybe one team at a time, build it up to certain thresholds, and move on to another. Now, if you reach to a point where you have all the gear on a team, but are still shard farming, you can shard farm that team and maybe gear something else, or vice versa. But for the most part, don't go just blowing your resources everywhere. If you blow your resources everywhere, your roster will look kind of fat, but it won't do much for you. And I'm a little concerned that might be what you're doing a little bit. You might be scattering your resources to the winds and not really focusing super well on any characters, judging by that you're a somewhat bulky GP for not having a lot of the major tunes in here. Um, and it's something we all kind of do. Definitely done it along the way, so it's not the end of the world. But this is all about resource management, and if you're not getting near the top end of your arena, you're not getting the 500 crystals that you have the potential to get. So that's just something to be aware of as well. Fleet Arena, you're doing pretty well. You're up to 77th place right now, and you got some good ships involved. You got the Houndstooth, that's a core one. I beat the drum on that one. You have TIE Silencer built up, that's a good one. That's very versatile, and if you're not in the current meta teams, which is going to be a little bit of time for you. Not too far. You've got Egg 2000, you got Xanadu Blood at 4 stars. You just want to bring up the Egg 2000 and Xanadu Blood another star, and you have access to the Millennium Falcon. The Millennium Falcon will be a game changer in Arena. You can get a 5-star Falcon team to the top of pretty much any charter arena right now. It's not as easy if you got a full 7-star gold gear complement team, but it is possible. And you want also, if you do that, you got Cassian's U-Wing, build it up to 85. Try to build it up to 7 stars as well. Get the reinforcement bonus up all the way. When you go take the Rebel Recon up all the way, it will clear all the buffs in the field when it enters the fray, and that will make your opponent's Millennium Falcons vulnerable. If you're not familiar with that tactic, I have some videos in this channel that explains the strategy for using Millennium Falcon on offense, and you can see that played out. I think you're pretty close there. You've done a good job. You've got the reinforcement abilities on your Phantom 2. That's a key one. Ghost can be key as well. I would say your next priority should get that Cassian's U-Wing reinforcement ability all the way up, and focus on building up the other bounty hunters so you can get yourself a nice, shiny new Hands Millennium Falcon. That's going to do a lot for you. Other than that, I mean, you've got a lot of ways you can take this, but what I want to avoid here is giving you too much to do, because if I give you too much to work on your plate, you might start investing in things that really don't gain a lot for you. I think the team you got has potential. I don't know how high. I don't know where the wall of Revens really take effect, where they start to be really modded. I would say work the team you got, and continue to build up your old Republic. At least get the Jedi Knight Revan out of there. You're a ways off from anything that'll get you Darth Revan, but all you need is that T3M4 to 7 stars, the Jolie to 7 stars, and Zelbar to 7 stars, and you can get that light side Revan, and that will take the team you got and take it all the way. I mean, you can take it all the way to number 1. I do it every day, but I do it with quite a lot more advanced mods. So if you get your mods situation completely figured out, you build your mod inventory to the point where you can have plus 120 to 150 speed on all of your characters on your team, you'll be able to get there real easy too. At least most of your characters. So that's just ways you can work this to improve your team, get a little higher. I think your mod situation is the biggest thing that's keeping you from reaching the higher rankings, because quite frankly, a lot of your opponents are just going to run circles around you because they got so much of a speed advantage on you. At least that's going to be the case the further you get up in the rankings. So that would be where I apply a lot of my focus. Try to keep doing what you're doing. You have been building your roster intelligently. I can see that. It's now just taking it and working with what you got to bring it to the next level. Love to take any questions you have. Love to see what you accomplish over the next several months and who knows years. But yeah, let me know what else we can do to help you, and we'll take a look and we'll see if we can facilitate that as well. That's all I have for this video. We'll see you next time. And Star Saber signing out.